Beginning. Hello.
Hello.
Currently, the U.S.-Mexican borders are being overrun by caravans of immigrants hoping to enter the United States either by means of asylum-seeking, work visas, or simply pushing their way through the U.S. borders. For many years, the majority of immigrants entering the United States were that of Mexican citizens. Lately, we have seen an influx of Guatemalan, Colombian, Venezuelan, African, and mass amounts of Chinese hoping to illegally penetrate the American borders. These immigrants are consisting mostly of young adult males rather than traditional Mexican families looking for a better life in America. There needs to be more drastic changes to the U.S. immigration policies to aid Mexican migrants and to minimize the unhealthy illegal immigration of those who cannot benefit the U.S. society and may intend to bring it harm. Hello, I'm mLemon. I've personally seen the value in the Mexican workforce here locally in North Carolina as a manager with a local composites company. I managed a few different departments, one of which was 75% composed of Mexican women. They were very hardworking, good family-orientated ladies facilitating a position it was very difficult to find non-Hispanic workers to fill. Many of their husbands also worked in other departments I supervised, and they too were very reliable, hardworking men with upbeat, positive attitudes. Mexican immigration proliferation to the United States began in 1869 with the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad in the U.S. In the early 1900s, it was the Mexican Revolution that drove many Mexican families into U.S. for work and to seek refuge. The number of Mexican migrants went from 20,000 per year at the start of the Revolution in 1910 to 50,000 to 100,000 per year during 1920. Although in America there was an omnipresent belief in eugenics applied to Mexicans, there were many who spoke in favor of how Mexican laborers were physically tough, possessed a very strong work ethic, no matter how difficult or dangerous the work was. During World War II in the 1940s, the American agriculture and manufacturing workforces were in desperate need of laborers to facilitate the void of workers due to the war. The attitudes of bringing in Mexican workers once again became very desirable. In 1942, a new system was established between the two governments called Barrios, in which Mexican workers could come to the U.S. as contact workers. During 1942 through 1964, 5 million Mexicans came to the U.S. under the Barrios Workers Program. Of the 5 million, only 100,000 stayed illegally. Continuing into the 1990s, 2.9 million Mexican workers facilitate American factories, restaurants, hospitals, hotels, construction sites, orchards, and many other semi-skilled available markets, equating up to 19% of the total workforce in the U.S. On September 5, 2001, President Bush met with President Fox of Mexico for conversations on how to strengthen and regulate the multi-beneficial relationship between the millions of hardworking Mexican immigrants and create a U.S. policy. The needs of Mexican workers to the U.S. economy were evaluated and defined as Mexican workers being an integral part of the U.S. economic growth. Then, unfortunately, a week after the talks between the two presidents, America was attacked on 9/11, and the focus became on securing the nation as the country's security was tightened up. Between the 1980s through 2014, Mexican migration grew from 2.2 million to 11.75 million, and as of 2017, the total population of Mexican American immigrants is 35 million. Despite the stigma surrounding Mexican American migration, the majority of that 35 million have legal status or citizenship. President Trump's removal of NAFTA, a new policy with the Mexican and Canadian governments called the U.S.-Mexico-Canadian Agreement, although intended to strengthen U.S. positions in trade with those two nations, has also facilitated and empowered the long-oppressed Mexican worker to establish unions, better working conditions, and better pay here in America. Having established the obviously need economically for Mexican workers in the U.S. over the last 100+ years, How about the crime concern that have become prolific with the current influx of immigrants from other Latin American regions? Mexican immigrants are thought to potentially increase the crime rates when they migrate into the U.S. Since this is a difficult metric to quantify, cities in America whose populations are of Mexican majority, such as El Paso, Texas, have been used to establish that El Paso and other Mexican cities are potentially some of the safest cities in the U.S., with homicide rates as low as 2.4 per 100,000 citizens. Similar examples of these cities, such as San Diego, Chula Vista, California, and Mesa, Arizona, can be used to establish these same results. The Mexican-American structure of family and work ethic have withstood decades of various immigration policies. The many cultural contributions of cuisine, media, and entertainment have all played an important role in the development of America, in addition to the economically. As Title 42 comes to a close and the nation is about to be left with no choice except to implement much stiffer immigration policies, many hardworking Mexican immigrants who have come to this country with good intentions and have benefited the U.S. society in many ways are going to be easy targets for deportation, while the more savvy criminals of other illegal immigrant groups will find sanctuary in hiding and moving around the U.S. undocumented. It's my hope that we can all come together and recognizing and in support of this very important and historical demographic, the Mexican-American worker. Thank you very much.